Hello students, welcome to this session on literary terms. In this session, we will talk about a very special form of writing verse, that is heroic couplet. In this discussion, we will try to find out answers for the questions like what is a couplet, why it is called heroic, and how this special form of writing verse got popular, and what is the specific pattern is applied in this form of writing verse. And we will also talk about some famous examples about the use of heroic couplet in English poetry. So let's begin. Students, heroic couplet is a traditional form for English poetry, and it is commonly used in epic and narrative poetry. And now, as the name suggests, couplet, the term couplet simply means a pair of lines that rhyme. And as a very regular, very disciplined form of writing verse, a couplet consists of a rhyming pair of lines in iambic pentameter. And now the question arises that what is iambic pentameter? I have discussed this term in detail in the session on blank verse, but I'll reiterate the very explanation. Students, I'll begin with the pentameter. Pentameter means that in a line of verse or in a single line of couple, what will be there? That there will be total 10 syllables, and those 10 syllables will be categorized into 5 pairs with 2 syllables in each pair. So there will be 5 pairs in that line of 10 syllables. So those 5 pairs, they are called 5 feet. So that 5 feet pattern is called pentameter in English versification. Now the question is, what is iambic? Iambic is the pattern of an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. To be more simple, I can say that iambic means that in each pair of syllables in a pentameter, in that each pair, the first syllable will be weak syllable or unstressed syllable, and the second syllable will be the stressed one or the strong one. So in this way, in a line of couplet, there is a regular disciplined pattern of 10 syllables divided into 5 groups, and in each group there will be 2 syllables, one weak followed by one strong syllable. Now the second question is that why this couplet is called heroic? So students, the adjective heroic was applied in later 17th century because of the frequent use of such couplets, the rhyming lines written in iambic pentameter, in heroic poems, in epics, or in heroic plays. And as far as the use of heroic couplet in English poetry is concerned, it was pioneered by Geoffrey Chaucer, and I hope you all familiar with Chaucer. And Chaucer is a 14th century poet, and he is known as the father of English poetry. And Chaucer first used this heroic couplet in his The Legend of Good Woman and his famous composition The Canterbury Tales. And later on, this heroic couplet became the principal meter used in drama about the mid-17th century. And it had been perfected by John Dryden and Alexander Pope in the later years of 17th century or early 18th century. And now Now there is a clear time frame of the use of this heroic couplet in English poetry, that how it began in 14th century and it was perfected in early 18th century by Pope and Dryden. Now here is an example on your screen that what couplet is. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. So students, in this verse, there are two lines, and as we have just discussed that the first prerequisite for the couplet is that there is a pair of lines. So here is a pair of lines, and this pair of line is giving a complete meaning, a complete sense it is giving. And thirdly, the two lines, they are rhyming. The and words, they rhyme. The proved and loved. So there is a rhyme. So if we look at the definition of couplet, we find that it is a couplet, because here that two lines are there, a pair of lines is there, and those lines are rhyming. Student, this very couplet is from Shakespeare's sonnet 116, and it's rhymed, it's closed, and it's iambic also. There are also 10 syllables in this couplet, but it is not, however, a heroic couplet, as I have made it clear to you that the adjective heroic was used to the preferably to those very poems which were written with the heroic setting. So for a couplet to be heroic, it needs a heroic context. So that is all in brief about what is a couplet, why it is called heroic, and how it has been used in English poetry. So let's move forward. There are two categories of heroic couplet which are used or which are widely popular in English poetry. The first one is open couplet. This is also called enjambment couplet. Students, open heroic couplets, no doubt they are rhyming couplets, because rhyming is the very first requirement for a couplet. But in open couplet, what happens that in the verse which is written in open couplet, those very couplets will be enjambed, means the sense will continues from one line to another line and from one couplet to another couplet. Enjambment means a free flow. The sense flows from one couplet to another couplet. Means that a single couplet will not be complete in its meaning. The meaning will flows. The sense will flow from one to second couplet. It has been used by Chaucer in his Canterbury Tales. Then the second category is closed couplet. The closed couplet is also a rhymed couplet, but it forms a complete thought, a complete syntactic unit, and the concluding it with and stopped lines means the sense or the meaning is not enjambed. There is no flow of the sense from one to another. Later on in this session, we will talk about an example of how that a closed couplet forms a complete thought. And let's talk something in detail about that, which form of verse was used by Chaucer and which was popularized in the times of Pope. As we have already discussed that Chaucer was the first to use heroic couplet, but he used open couplet in Canterbury Tales, and later on in the new classical age, the poets, they wrote in closed couplet, and among these poets, Alexander Pope was the most consummate master of the closed couplet, and he confined the sense more vigorously than ever within the two lines. He used heroic couplet with great variation of speed and delicacy of touch. Here is an example from Alexander Pope's famous work Essay on Man, and this couplet is very famous one. The couplet is, "Know then thyself, presume not God to scan. The proper study of mankind is man. So student, this couplet is, as far as the meaning is concerned, as far as the thought is concerned, or the subject matter is concerned, this couplet is giving a complete idea, a complete thought, a complete meaning. And secondly, as a syntactic unit, each line of the pair is complete in itself. So the sense or the meaning doesn't flow from one to another. So this is a closed couplet, and secondly, the last lines are rhyming. So no doubt it's a perfect rhyming couplet. And so thus in this way we can say that couplet is a very disciplined form of writing, and it has been used by Chaucer, then by Pope, and Pope has used it in his works like Essay on Man or Essay on Criticism. But in his more epic poem, The Rape of the Lock, also Pope has used this very form of writing. But if we just conclude the overall use of heroic couplet in English poetry, we find that with its driving rhythm, controlled rhyme, and syntactical independence, heroic couplet reflects the subject matter it portrays. Tales of adventure, war, magic, true love, and yes, even a stolen lock of hair, as in Pope's The Rape of the Lock. As I have already mentioned you that the Pope's this poem, The Rape of the Lock, is a more epic poem. So this very form of poetry is not form of writing words is not only used in epics but also in the mock epics. So in it whether it has been used in its open form or whether it's used in its closed form, it is a very has a very driving rhythm, and so that's why it appeals when one reads or recites a particular form of particular poem. So this is all about this very regular or controlled form of verse. I hope now you have a clear idea that what is a couplet, why it is called heroic, and how it has been introduced in English poetry, and how it has been perfected by the poets. And now you have also seen one example from an ordinary couplet by Shakespeare and a closed couplet by Alexander Pope. So thank you.